Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back from the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're hopping into the Forest of Training Magnetic with the new kid taking on Yuita's kid. So that's the team, those are the supports. Let's dive on in. Alright, so as always, we're going to kick it off over here on stage 11 against the Scratchman Apu. Bring it on home, boy. With this particular team, we actually don't have a way around the paralysis, which is a little bit annoying. Now, as you can see, at stage 11... we're already looking pretty grim on this HP front, if I ain't gonna lie to you. But we did bring some pretty high-end subs, and this run, it kind of relies on RNG. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I don't know if it relies exactly on RNG, but obviously with Kid, he is built around speed, right? And obviously Forest's not a place where speed really shines. Obviously there is 20 stages, and at the end of every turn, one kid will cut your HP by 10%. If you bring two kids, that's like 19% HP cut every single turn. So, for this particular run, we are bringing the Dolph Growth, or however you say it. Because we are running a full striker team, we can actually get 1,000 healing at the end of every single turn. Now, as you guys can see here, we have some pretty high-end subs. We have Vivi Rebecca on this team. Vivi Rebecca is really, really good because they can not only remove the damage reduction and the defensive effects, but they give us healing every turn, and we kind of need that healing because once we hit this sort of 20k threshold, we start taking like 5k every single turn. With Don, Krieg, and Jin, they're a striker powerhouse unit, which is great, so they fit onto Kid. They give us damage reduction every single turn as well, and then with Roger, we can apply a 1.5 times attack and orb boost, as well as that 2.5 times chain lock from Vivi Rebecca every single turn. That's going to allow us a lot of damage every turn. We've got tanking capabilities with the damage reduction that Don, Krieg, and Jin can provide. And we also have a lot of, like, damage output as well as healing, which is actually incredibly essential for this particular run to operate. Because Kid doesn't have any damage reduction built into his kit. Unlike the Super Sugo kid that released for last year's anniversary, the Onigashima kid, you don't get damage reduction when you have low HP like he does. So when you are doing these sort of like harder 13-star forest runs, you don't have that luxury of sort of tanking out a lot of damage like we do for like Yuita's kid, the striker-driven version. So, nevertheless, we do have some pinch healing with Vivi Rebecca. We do have a lot of damage output, and we can still tank shots here and there. So we do actually survive enough to end up making it to the end and actually just clutching the run, which was actually, like, very surprising, honestly. Like, very, very surprising. Another upside to Vivi Rebecca for this particular run is Vivi's not boosted under Kid. So you can actually cheese this particular stage against Killer. Get yourself a little bit more healing on this particular stage because you are healing 2,000. Once you hit, like, that 15k, you are losing sort of exactly what you're healing anyway. So, it's not too detrimental. But on this particular stage against Killer, you can just stall out the 5 tons of damage reduction. It works quite nicely. With Kid as a captain, though, he does provide a lot of attack. He has a 5.25 times attack boost to both striker and driven classes. And any character that has the striker tag, any character that can be a very good striker captain, like Kid, is always going to see a resurgence on stuff like tier lists, on stuff like the best legends in the game, because they have access to Whitebeard and Roger. Whitebeard and Roger, in my eyes, are the best unit in the game because they make every single team just better. They don't even need to be boosted to make the team better, where something like the Straw Hat crew, they do make particular teams better, but they don't make every single team better. Whitebeard and Roger can sort of just like get thrown onto any team, and they give you that 1.5 times attack, 1.5 times orbs, with their regular switch every single turn, as well as 3 matching orbs. So, with any striker, any slasher captain really, they are always going to have a benefit, provided you can find a spot for Whitebeard and Roger on your team. And most of the time you will, like, because they're such a good unit, their switch ability is so incredibly good. They can be your attack booster, they can be your orb booster for the team, because that is a rainbow attack and orb boost as well as apply a 2 times attack and orb boost with their super switch as well. So they can do some pretty nasty things. They're a very, very powerful unit, and Kid definitely shines, very similar to how Kaido shines, because he has access to such a powerful unit like Whitebeard and Roger. With Kid, he's special. We'll give you a full board of tandem slots, as you guys saw in that previous stage. Going through block orbs, which is great. But the downside I do find to Kid is he doesn't actually go through all orbs with his special. His special states that he rotates type slots and block slots into tandem. That means if you have empty orbs, he's not going to rotate them. If you have recovery orbs, he's not going to rotate them. Bomb orbs, or any of those particular orbs that are just like not type or already tandem or block, he's not going to rotate. But when he rotates them, as you guys can see, with that super lock mechanic that he has, it is incredibly powerful because you can actually just hang on to tandem slots for as long as you actually need. Now, this particular stage is where I think things was going to get a little bit hairy because we didn't have a way of getting around the 3 turns of threshold. But with the heinous support on our Roger, we do have 2 turns of it, however. We do have pinch healing with Vivi Rebecca. Don't forget that if you are trying this run. But this is more of a showcase on Kid in some really hard content, actually taking it down. And showcasing why I do believe he's in my top 10 as the best units in the entire game. We did manage to pick up a meat orb there, which is actually pretty clutch as well. And with the 4,000 healing that the Dolph Groll and Vivi Rebecca can give us, works quite nicely. But as I was saying, Kid's special is incredibly powerful because not only can he be an attack booster, but he can also be your orb booster for the team, which is great when you are running 2 characters. Now, we are well and truly in the hybrid meta, and bringing 2 of the same character for most particular pieces of content isn't the be-all or end-all, because if you bring a friend captain that does something different to what your captain does, it's usually a lot more damage output, or it provides you a little bit more for your runs, because you just have access to a different special. On a burst turn, you have a whole nother character to like give you like an either a higher orb boost or a higher attack boost. But with Kid, if you already use one of the Kid specials, you can actually use the other Kid special to be your orb booster. If you use Kid special, he's a 2.75 times attack boost. But if you already have an attack boost live, he'll actually become a orb booster, which is really cool. It's very useful, because then that way you don't have to worry about bringing another character for your orb boost. Now, nevertheless, hybrid meta still reigns supreme. Like bringing, say, a Kid with a hybrid of Kaido, for example, is going to be an absolute monster of a combination moving forward, as Kid can actually give you that super tandem lock, so that super lock to just hold on to tandem slots. And if you activate the super class of Kaido before you use something like that, you can actually lock that Wano slot and just carry it for the rest of the run, applying that extra damage, the additional damage that Kaido can do, which is just so incredibly powerful. And then access to stuff like Vivi Rebecca as a sub and Roger as a sub. And that way you can just get all your damage output and just replace the rest of the team with utility. Another thing that Kid actually has as well is he actually has access to a super tandem mechanic. Now, as I was just saying, if you do some shenanigans with stuff like Kaido, get his super tandem for the final stage, and then use something like Kid for the rest of the run, you can actually just get super tandem every turn utilizing both of these characters. However, for Kid's super tandem at level 1, it is very finicky to actually attain, namely because you do need stuff like, this was actually incredibly clutch here, by the way, as well. We just had the damage, thank you to having an orb on Roger. And as you can see, we are flirting really low with HP. But with his super tandem mechanic, you do need like 2 driven characters. You also need a Heat, Wire, Killer, or Luffy. Luffy's a bit of a hard one because he doesn't really fall on the team, unfortunately, because there's no like driven striker Luffy's. But with the new Heat and Wire, with the old Onigashima Killer, the new free-to-play Killer, you can actually get that super tandem a little bit easier. Once you hit level 4, you actually can bring driven and striker characters, which opens the door drastically because Kid obviously works nicer with some other striker captains. However, he is built around driven being a driven superclass. His superclass gives cooldowns, which is awesome. You guys know how I feel about characters that can give cooldowns. The superclass will add the plus buff as well, which gives you an extra plus 0.25 to an attack boost. So in theory, Kid can be your 3 times attack booster. If you're bringing something like Roger, you can have a 3 times orb booster there. Roger will also be like color affinity, so you can do some pretty wild and nasty things there. And it all works out pretty super hunky-dory when you are running stuff like Kid and Roger and Kaido. So, all in all, I just wanted to bring Kid into some of the harder content in the game. I do think it is one of his downfalls, obviously. Longer content, he's going to struggle because you are losing a lot of HP every single turn. And obviously, if you have to take shots, like in forests and like in long content, it is going to be a little bit detrimental for this man. But as you guys can see here, literally just once we get to the end, just with Kid special, even without using that chain multiply buff that he has, that incredible new mechanic that adds 0.6 for every perfect, you can do some pretty wild things. And having a final tap level 5 Roger is actually incredibly powerful as well. Because once you get to the final stage, if you have like just the Roger special in that final tap, you can just like absolutely decimate stages, as you can see with this particular run. So that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit that big red subscribe button. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!